Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video going to be a little bit different. Almost all of the content lately has been weapon reviews and PvP builds, and it's been super fun. But I figured this week, when the Brave Arsenal is really targeting the PvE folks this week, hey, this would be a great opportunity for me to unpack some thoughts that I've had recently about the Destiny community as a whole. And the whole discussion today will be predicated on a foundational belief that I have that you might not have, that you might completely disagree with. So bear that in mind. And that foundational belief underneath this whole video today is my belief that the Destiny 1 community as a whole felt much more cohesive, dynamic, and uplifting than the Destiny 2 community does today in its current state. Now, you might totally disagree with that statement and that belief, and that's totally fine. I have a great friend in content creation who would disagree with that statement, but at the same time, I think there are pocket communities that feel amazing, and his is one of them, and that might make people feel like they're part of something better than the D1 community, and that's awesome. I celebrate that, but I want to talk about the community as a whole, right? Not just the sub-communities within it. So before we dive into the discussion, let me make 4 clear statements about what this video is not about, because I know people are probably already going to the comment section to make some assumptions. First, this is not an anti-content creator video. That would be hypocritical, right? But we aren't going to be targeting content creators specifically and placing blame for anything on them. That's not what this discussion is about, with the exception of maybe referencing a few bad apples in Destiny's past indirectly, more as a historical reference point than anything else. Second, this video is not a discussion about the state of Destiny 2 as a game, and any contributions the game itself has made to the current state of our Destiny community. Third, this video is not assuming that the evolution of content creation is the only factor, or even the largest factor, in the deterioration of the Destiny community. There are many factors at play, but in this video I just wanted to zero in on one of them. And finally, I want to make it clear that I do not think the current Destiny community is bad or in shambles, is a bad thing as a whole. I'm not dogging on our current community, right? It's more like a comparison thing, right? Sound good? All right, let's dive into it. So remember that Batman line, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain? Well, I feel that way in many regards to the culture of content creation as it has evolved and grown and changed over the years. I would argue that the content creation boom is maybe the biggest factor in the Destiny community's original glaring success. If you think back to D1, like the PS4 was practically brand new, and Sony did something with their console that made it absolutely crush Xbox sales back then, and that's that they built in content creation features right into the console. Anyone with a PS4 could link their Twitch account and live stream their gameplay and a face cam to Twitch and to other PS4 users' dashboards on their consoles and immediately get viewership, meet new people, start building a community, etc. And if live streams weren't your thing, you could save clips right to the console's hard drive and then transfer them to a USB stick and start editing YouTube videos easily. Or you could edit videos right there on the console. Content creation went from a challenging endeavor that required buying an external aftermarket capture device, hooking it up to record downgraded video, and trying to work with that crap to being, extremely accessible for the common gamer. I think back to my origins as a creator, and that's really how I did it. I just recorded clips on my PS4, I transferred them to my USB drive, and then when I went to work, I took the USB drive with me. And on my lunch breaks, I would edit my first YouTube videos. I mean, no one was watching them. They had no flashy thumbnails, no fancy editing. I didn't know how to leverage the YouTube algorithm or get people to click on anything with eye-grabbing titles and stuff. But my videos would get, 100, 200 views here and there, and I thought that was really cool. It was the Destiny Bungie.net forums community that really launched my YouTube career. I was a forum junkie back then. I was refreshing the forums every 10 minutes to see what people were saying, what strats for Nightfalls they were talking about, what people were chasing, lore posts, everything. And I commented on so much stuff. I upvoted threads and bumped interesting ones. I contributed to the conversations, I asked questions, I offered my own insights when I felt like I had something of value to share. And because of that, I gained a reputation among the other forum goers. Until one day, Deej posted a thread on the forum and said, "Hey, Bungie.net forum, I've got a new Bungie blog post that's going up in a few days, and I need a community focus. Do you guys have any suggestions for who I should reach out to this week? Normally it was Twitch streamers and YouTubers, but the forum junkies like me, they saw this as an opportunity to promote one of their own instead of just recommending a streamer or a YouTuber. So they responded, hey, feature True Vanguard. He's a forum goer, a contributor, nice guy, check him out. And that reply got upvoted hundreds of times, and I was just totally blown away by that and humbled by that. So Deej reached out, and the next thing I know, my little YouTube channel that got maybe 100 views a week got 150,000 views in 24 hours. My subscriber count shot up, and I started making more videos so people would keep coming around. Next thing I know, I have an amazing community of Destiny gamers supporting me and my content both on YouTube and on Twitch, and it's amazing. And you know, my story isn't unique. Since content creation was so accessible at the time, many other people had catalytic moments that launched their channels into crazy new waters. And because of that, the Destiny community became something new and something huge. Destiny was consistently one of the most streamed and most viewed games on the whole of Twitch. It became the place where the community gathered to hang out in real time, interact, play together, even form their own fire teams in people's chat rooms. It was like the central hub for us all. Next thing I know, my Twitch channel community is supporting charities. We granted wishes for several Make-A-Wish kids, sending them to theme parks, helping them meet their favorite celebrities, getting them on football fields with their favorite teams. It was incredible. GuardianCon gets launched by some of the largest and most positive Twitch streamers at the time. Our community meets up in the summertime to support charities and celebrate our community together. And content creators are collaborating with one another all the time, so their communities are constantly overlapping, sharing viewers, and making the Destiny 2 community feel like an expansive, interconnected web of gamers just enjoying their game and their online friendships and connections. And then crap started to go down. Connections got severed, and instead of one large interconnected community, we ended up with fragmented tribalism within the community. So what happened? Well, there were several things that happened, several factors that fall under the umbrella of content creation. One of them is that, well, to quote the Southern rock band Need to Breathe, money and fame bring a man shame, ain't no doubt about it. Let me ask you what happens with a bunch of young folks, mostly young men and teenagers. You know, they're in their formative years and early adult life, just trying to establish who they are and what they're going to do for the rest of their lives, and then suddenly they get handed a ton of influence and a ton of money. And I do mean a lot of money, more than people that young are used to making. Those early Twitch days were wild. I mean, you could end a stream with over $1,000 in donations and have 100 new subs. I remember talking to a content creator much younger than me back then during the House of Wolves DLC, and he said to me, Ryan, I've never had a job in my life, and I'm still trying to get through high school, but I made $200,000 this year. That's freaking insane. Can you imagine being 16, 17 years old in high school and making $200,000 in a year? But now you've got these young gamers traveling all over the country and sometimes even overseas to attend events that they've been invited to. They're away from home, they're young, and they've got a lot of disposable income they don't know what to do with. They had the money and the fame, and then unfortunately for some of them came the shame. Many creators got exposed for having inappropriate relations with women, even teen girls. One guy makes creepy advances on multiple other smaller content creator women and encourages them to get physical with him even though he's married. One huge clan that had massive influence and viewership gets exposed for sharing nudes and using their influence to pressure women into sharing more, and even having a prominent Twitch employee among their ranks. And there's a fallout. This fallout is felt on multiple fronts. First, you have the viewer, you, the person watching this video. Many of you, many of them, feel betrayed by the creators that they donated to, they supported, they watched. I remember speaking to one guy at GuardianCon who said, man, insert, person's name, was my favorite creator. I donated so much money and time to that guy just to find out he was a creep. I even let my daughter meet him at the last con last year. Now you have viewers who are jaded and even afraid to really invest themselves in a community now just because they've been burned. And within their sub-communities, you've got the ones who deny the allegations and the proof and stand with the creator, and those who quietly slip away and disengage. So rifts start to form in the community. Instead of an interconnected web, it's now pockets, it's tribalism. And then there's the other front of this fallout. The content creators who are now afraid to collab with each other because they don't know what dirty secret the other person might be hiding. And I gotta tell you guys, this is me. I used to collab all the time, stream with other streamers, make videos with them, everything. But my circle shrunk down to just a handful of people that I really trust, and I just don't make exceptions anymore. Not unless someone I really trust vouches for the new creator that I've never worked with, and even then, I'm extremely cautious. I actually decided I wanted to relax a little bit on that stance, last year, and I streamed with a guy who I had a mutual friend with, and when the stream was over, a young lady who has been a part of my community for years reached out to me privately and shared a terrible story about a personal interaction with this guy at a convention. And I've never streamed with him again, and it left me feeling nervous to branch out and meet new creators. And I know I'm not alone there. I talk to friends and peers all the time who echo the same sentiment. They're like, I don't even know some of the big creators in the Destiny community right now because they came along after that fallout, and I've just been sticking to my own little community, my own bubble since then. Like, I get rated sometimes on Twitch by creators with big viewership, and then I feel guilty because I'm like, dang, they had a lot of viewers, they must have a really big community, but I don't know who they are. And that's because that's my own fault. I shut myself off to collaborating and going into other streams and meeting new communities. All this to say, the web of creators that used to be woven together got split up into sub-communities that seldom overlap outside of a few glaring exceptions. But I want to move on to another factor outside of the fallout of some bad apples. I want to talk about how the evolution of content creation as an industry is also a factor. So back in Destiny 1, it seemed like just making good content and creating a good community was the most important part of what you did. If you wanted to be successful, you needed to make good content and invest in your community. If you could do that, your content could pop off. Word of mouth got people to come by your channel, pull up a chair, hang out a while you laugh with your buds and interact with your regulars and chat and create a warm, inviting atmosphere. But content creation started growing like a wildfire, and the powers that be decided they needed to change the rules so that they could make more money. That meant platforms started introducing a wide and vast array of ways to not really trick viewers, but sort of, into thinking they were supporting their favorite creator, but they were actually sending most of their money to the platform. YouTube and Twitch started making lots more money while creators started making less. Twitch cut back on the revenue split. I used to make 70% of my sub revenue and Twitch took 30%. Then they gave me a pay cut. I mean, I know, right? Poor content creator, boohoo. But to put it into perspective, say you showed up at work one day and your boss called you into his office and he said, hey man, you are crushing it. So we're going to give you a 20% pay cut so that we can make more money off of you. Like, you'd be livid, right? That's basically what Twitch did. But beyond that, the creators of these platforms also started analyzing viewers and spending lots more money trying to understand how they think and how to essentially manipulate them. So they made huge modifications to their algorithms to try to push more content to you that's just there to capture your attention short term, so advertisers can make sure their product gets seen. I spoke to a guy when I was working with Facebook for a couple of years who told me that internally they have a program that flags every single time every individual user stops scrolling on Facebook for 3 seconds. If you stop to take 3 seconds to look at something on Facebook, you have just told Facebook to analyze that thing and find out what it is and send a ton more of it your way. And Facebook isn't the only platform doing that. How do you think Twitter manages their For You section? Devices also started paying attention to what you're saying, and next thing you know, you mentioned in passing to your wife that you need a new toaster because it's broken, and suddenly you've got toaster ads popping up on your Facebook feed or sponsored posts in your Twitter feed. Basically, the game changed. But it didn't just change for the platform overseers, it changed for the content creators too. Suddenly, YouTube isn't pushing your standard content out to your regular viewers as often. Instead, it's analyzing your viewers and pushing other eye-grabbing content to them instead to keep them looking at shiny things. So content creators have to change the way they create content. Instead of making content specifically for their established viewers, we constantly have to make content that understands the algorithm and tries to tap into it. Now, yes, your regular, super dedicated viewers, they still check out whatever you post. But when they do so in direct competition with the algorithm. They do it because it's an intentional choice. Because the algorithm wants fresh eyes on fresh ads, not the same people on every video. My last 3 videos have had, for example, more than 50% of the viewers are not subs to the channel. They're people getting pulled every which direction, and they happen to click on my video because I knew what the algorithm was pushing, and I made a title and a thumbnail and description and buzzwords that tried to capitalize on it. I still try to make really good content for all of my viewers, but I also have to play this other separate game just to try and get the algorithm's attention. Ultimately, as the content creation business has expanded, creating a cohesive community has become less important. There are some creators out there that have incredible communities that are huge and supportive, but they are by far the exception, not the rule. And bring this full circle to Destiny, we now have tribalism compounded by the fact that content creators are trying desperately to keep up with their ever-changing algorithms to pay their bills. And creating and interacting with a community becomes something that they really want to do, but they have less and less time to invest in it. Honestly, it sucks super bad. I love my community, and I wish desperately that I was able to just go live, chill with them, laugh, play games all the time. But the amount of time I can dedicate to that has gotten smaller by no one's fault but the powers that be at the top of the totem poles. And finally, the last thing I want to unpack in this video is the lack of community leadership these days. There are clear leaders in our community, and I give them props for the work that they do to try to foster and support a positive and uplifting community atmosphere. But it's, in my opinion, it's nothing like what we used to have. So back in the day, we had Deej and the TTL Gunslingers and then DMG and Cosmo, and they were in streams, they were playing with people on the forums, they were offering leadership and encouragement to the community. Deej was always encouraging people to be excellent to each other. And then we had the content creators who, and I know people hate to hear this, but it's the truth, they offered a lot of leadership in our community. They were a rallying point, a common room for people to gather in and hang out. They brought people together, and then while they had them in there, they provided leadership in the community by sharing details about charity events, by getting multiple streamers together to play and overlap their communities and encourage the community to be supportive and kind and participate in in-game events. You had a unified front of creators all pushing the same message of support and their communities rallying behind it. But with the creators being so fragmented these days and their communities not having all that overlap that they used to, the impact of leadership is greatly diminished. The reach of that leadership is diminished. And more bad apples in the community forced Bungie to change the way that they do community leadership in order to protect the privacy and the safety of their community team members. So we feel that loss twofold. Now, I know this was a lot to unpack, but I've been thinking a lot about our community and where we've been and where we might be headed. There are a lot of things that are outside of our control, things that we're kind of helpless to change. But if I could leave you with some positive thoughts as we move forward as a community, I would say this. You know, our world right now profits greatly off of division, sensationalism, and dualism. They're highly lucrative commodities that many people are monetizing these days. Every day you play Destiny and interact with other Destiny people, be they common gamers, influencers, developers, content creators, you have an opportunity to feed the machine and contribute to that division by drawing lines in the sand, finding a side to stand on and a side to oppose, or by making polarizing statements. But I would encourage you, a good community always starts by having people who are willing to occupy the space in the middle. That doesn't mean compromising your belief on a certain issue, big or small. It simply means a willingness to converse and understand the other side. I mean, there are plenty of things I disagree with, but I always try to be willing to at least fully understand the opposing viewpoint because it makes me see the people behind the viewpoint, not just the thing that I disagree with. So take advantage of every opportunity to build bridges, to offer dissenting viewpoints with grace and compassion, and be willing to walk alongside other gamers even if they don't see eye to eye with you. I think changing the meta, so to speak, in the gaming industry starts with individuals who are willing to be kind, and that's you and me. Thanks so much for tuning into the video today. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts about where we are as a community, where we're headed, and what your experiences with the community over the years have been like. Thanks for supporting my content. If you made it to the end of this long video, just let me know in the comments so I can be sure to leave a heart on your comment because it's the literal least I can do to show my gratitude. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.